Rabble.
Hey, Alice.
Today we're going to play a bonus episode that Rabble and I recorded at the 1 Billion Followers Summit in Dubai. There we talk about what has been going on with diVine in the last couple of months and just give you a little bit of an insight as to why the app isn't out yet and all the hard things that it takes to bring an app into the big world. So take a listen to that and we will see you next time. Hi, Rabble.
Hey, Alice.
So we're still in Dubai and we are surrounded by creators and people really want to know what the update is with diVine. And it's not that we're trying to tease everybody, but we have a lot to do to make sure this is great. So tell us a little bit about what the focus is right now.
So when we announced diVine, we announced the bringing back of Vine and loading all these videos up and creating something as homage to the original, I expected it to be something interesting to a few people who are interested in internet nostalgia and history. And I removed the AI content and filtered it out because I didn't want to see it myself. And what happened was it just resonated with so many people around the world. And so we had to design a system that wasn't going to handle 10,000 users, but potentially handle hundreds of thousands or millions of users. And there are so many things that work on a small scale that don't work when you scale up. And so immediately we saw all the servers crash. And then we saw these bugs that didn't matter for a few users, but are a very big deal if you have thousands or millions of users. And so what we've done is we've really sat down, rolled up our sleeves. I brought a bunch of more people onto the project. We working on the technology and the servers so that it could work, and then talking to a lot of people, talking to a lot of creators, talking to a lot of users. And it became very clear that we should not repeat the mistakes of the past in terms of trust and safety. And so I reconnected with Yoel Roth, who was on my podcast, ran trust and safety for Twitter. I talked to the person who runs trust and safety for Bluesky. And we decided that we needed to make sure that we got all that set up. And so we have been working on setting up the environment so that we can evaluate the content that comes through, evaluate effectively whether or not it's AI content, fulfill the promise that everyone's so excited about, but also handle in a reliable way when something happens and we can get back to people. Because it's easy to just have rose-colored glasses and think that everyone will use these things and it will all work great and no one will behave poorly. Right. But we know that people behave poorly on the internet. And so what we're doing is all of the work that needs to be done in order to make a system at scale work. And we're trying to do it as quickly as possible, and we're super excited about getting it out there. But if you record a video and it disappears, or if your feed ends up being hate speech or porn or AI generated content or brain rot, you don't want that. And so what works with a few videos doesn't work with thousands or millions of videos. And so what we're doing is we're trying to get all that organized. We're trying to get it all set up and doing it as quickly as possible. You know, one of the things that surprised me when I talked to the original Viners who reached out to us and talked to us is that they don't care so much if it launches this month or next month, but they do care that it works. And so what I realized is that launching this is less like a normal traditional software app where you can start with a few set of people and closer to a video game that people are really excited about. You know, if Grand Theft Auto comes out and it's full of bugs and you can't play the game, it doesn't matter how beautiful the graphics are. It doesn't matter how amazing the gameplay and the story is if the game does not work. And so in diVine's case, it doesn't matter the promise of the AI future and this social media bill of rights where you own your identity and you can click to all these different servers and everything else. If the videos don't upload, if they don't play quickly,
it has to work.
It has to work. Yeah. And so that is the effort that we're doing right now.
Yeah. I think the other thing too, especially in that analogy of like if this is Grand Theft Auto 15 or I don't know what number it's at, but is that there is a prequel to what we are doing. And so people's expectations are set already to a level of kind of performance and usability. And we have to, match that.
And the prequel isn't Vine.
Right.
Vine disappeared in 2017. The prequel is every social video app that has existed since it. In the original Vines, people didn't have like text overlays that went with the transcript so you could listen with the audio off. People didn't have a whole bunch of things that we now think of as norms in how things work. And so we can't just bring back what was a relatively buggy Vine app, because it was relatively buggy.
And basic.
Yeah. We have to have a whole bunch more tools. And so we had to go out and find an in-app video editing thing. And we're incorporating open source, and we're working with an open source developer who built a really beautiful in-app video editing tool to adapt it and try and make it work. Now, it's not going to be like CapCut, because we're a teeny little organization and we're doing open source. But we had to do something that was referencing and built off of the world of social media and social video in 2026 and not what it existed a decade ago.
Exactly. So you touched on the AI technology or the filtering technology. Can you tell us a little bit about how we are going to be doing that?
Yeah, so everyone wants to know, how do we filter out the AI? And we don't look at the videos. Like, that's an important thing. We don't say, is there a sixth finger, or did a limb appear and disappear, or something else. We actually look at two different things. One, we have a whole bunch of verification with cryptography and content moderation stuff that actually comes from DRM technology that's built into the hardware of the phones.
Okay.
And this is technology that the hardware creators, Apple, Google, and camera creators, have been worried about AI-generated content for a decade.
Okay.
And so they actually built into all of our phones and all of our cameras the ability to verify the origins and the history of the content. But no one was using it. And I think the social media companies weren't using it because they didn't actually care.
Right.
Because they care about engagement. They don't care that the video is fake. They don't care that it is rage bait. They don't care that it is some sort of deep fake on some fundamental level, because they don't have an interest in it. It's not their value proposition. But the technology exists. It's built into the hardware of all of our devices, and no one was using it. So we're using that. It's this technology called C2PA. We built a version on top of it with this activist tech platform called the Guardian Project. It's called Proof Mode. And that verifies the origin and history of the videos.
Okay.
And then we also do a second level of tests where we're actually partnering with a lot of large AI companies who are themselves, even though they are making all this AI-generated video content, they're concerned with it too. And so we are able to work with their research teams and their internal teams to design checks on this stuff that look at the underlying structure of these videos. There's things inside them that look real versus look AI generated. And so this isn't going to be a one-off thing. We're constantly going to have to be sort of chicken and egg thing of like the cat and mouse. Like, it's like there'll be ways in which we will miss things, but we are working with the AI labs themselves in order to effectively filter out the content that they themselves are generating.
Yeah, and I'll add, like, this will be a community effort, right?
Yeah.
Like, we will do our best together with everyone that is using the app, and if they tap us on the shoulder and say, hey, we think you missed something, we'll get right on it.
Yeah, and so the moment someone reports something as AI content, we do automated checks for it, but we also send it to our newly created customer support team to have a human look at it.
Yeah. So I think, just to wrap up this conversation, the other thing that we've been doing is really getting clear on our purpose and like why we are here. And it's become very clear to us. Like, I will just say too, like, we are not anti-AI. We just believe that, you know, there is great power in human creativity, and that humans have kind of had that power taken away from them, like, involuntarily. Like, all of this Gen AI content has been showing up in our feeds, whether we like it or not. Creators are worried about it and how it kind of like creates a threat to the work
what
that
are the
they
implications
do.
of it? Like,
yeah, exactly.
The Luddites themselves, these sort of famous anti-technology rebels who took their shoes and threw them into the machines of the industrial era of England, they actually, if you look at what they said, they were not anti-industrialization. They were not anti-machine. They were not anti-technology and progress, but they were against the world that put them as children, as factory workers who were having their hands chopped off, who were dying in the machines, who worked 16-hour days, who did not get weekends. They were opposed to the system of economic system, the system of exploitation in capitalism as it was being employed there. And so the problem isn't necessarily the AI itself, but the entire economic socio-political system that is shoving it down our throats. And we need to restructure that. We need to have a better relationship with it. If AI content can only exist, if AI systems can only exist because it has the sum total of human knowledge in it, then how can that be something that is privately owned and controlled? Because it only can exist with all of us, and therefore all of us should be able to benefit and have agency over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we are here to give more agency back to people, to the creators themselves, but also to the people who are consuming content, and have a choice that actually I want to go to a place on the internet that is bright, that is joyful. We're coining this phrase of joy scrolling instead of doom scrolling, and I think it's just really important that we recognize that people want to have choices, and we're hoping to redress the balance of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I recently signed this onto this manifesto called Resonant Computing.
That's right.
And Resonant Computing was created by a bunch of us who work in Silicon Valley, who work in tech, and said the things we're building, they should make us happy. They should make us fulfilled. They should not make us feel evil and bad and guilty. And doom scrolling is a disaster.
Right.
But it can be joyful. Like, we can have joy, we can have happiness, we can have human connection to that. And that is what we're trying to do with diVine.
Yeah. So we are just as excited as everyone out there, and we appreciate your patience, and watch this space. We hope this month we'll be releasing the Android beta.
Yep, absolutely. We'll be releasing the Android beta next, because Android has been too neglected, and it's really important to get the Android folks on there and learn from it. We also have an email list that you can sign up to at our website, diVine.video. You can see some of the content on the website, even though you can't create there. And we have a Discord server, and we have a very active Discord with a lot of people discussing about what they're excited about, where they're coming from, what they're going to do. So please join the mailing list, join the Discord server, and when the Android beta is out, join it too.
Yeah, be part of the movement to make the internet better. Thank you.
Thank you.